Welcome everyone to the Chillin' with the Villain podcast. I am the villain, Marty Skull. And today, hot off the heels of WrestleMania 40, I will be giving you all my opinions, my thoughts of WrestleMania XL. The first WrestleMania not under Vince McMahon. The first WrestleMania of the Triple H, the Pool of X era, the Renaissance era. What did I think about it? Well, you're going to find out in today's episode, but I'm not doing it alone. Joining me, as always, the producer of the show, Mr. Samuel Scott. Sam, it's 2 late nights for us both, staying up watching WrestleMania. They've started early this year, I thought. I mean, maybe they did before, but I was convinced that WrestleMania would start at 8. It started at 7. The shows were, the first night was just over 4 hours. The second night, I think, was similar. A lot of wrestling. And I haven't watched any of NXT Stand and Deliver. I've only watched Paul Heyman's Hall of Fame speech. There's so much going on. There was a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. It's really hard to keep up to date with everything that's going on in wrestling. And still tonight, whilst we're recording, there'll still be the Raw after WrestleMania and everything. So it's a pretty damn intense week or 2 weeks for professional wrestling. So if you're listening to this, then we appreciate you because we know there is so much content out there, but we try and bring you the best wrestling content out there. So give us a follow at The Villain Pod on the Instagrams, the YouTubes, the TikToks, if you do that. And also, if you would like to leave us a review for the podcast, please give us 5 stars. We would really appreciate that. And we will give you a shout out on the podcast. So that is the plugs over. WrestleMania 40. Sam, what do we think?
All right. Well, the first thing I thought was, it's kind of, it was a lot, but it is kind of, I don't watch TV, if we want to call this TV. So it's actually kind of nice to have an excuse to sit in for a weekend, and just get comfy and have snacks and sit in front of and just kind of just consume a whole 2-day event thing. It's kind of fun. I mean, I don't know, because I know you're actually probably the only person who watches sits around on their sofa and watches TV less than I do. But obviously you two were forced into this, or well, we say forced. We love you guys. We don't feel at ransom. We don't feel pressured. Don't worry. But we had to cover this. We had to watch it, and but it's usually outside of our comfort zone to sit in an entire weekend and consume television. But actually, I didn't mind it at all. It was very kind of refreshing and enjoyable. But that's the concept. What we thought of the WrestleMania is, we'll get into. But I just wondered what you thought about that as a fellow not sitting around on the sofa watching TV kind of guy.
Honestly, I'm going to try and give my true opinions of the show. I did watch both nights with a group of people, right, with friends, and I do find that when I watch it with a group of people, it's a lot harder for me to kind of concentrate and take it all on board. But also at the same time, it's like you said, it's a different viewing experience. That's definitely way different than me watching wrestling by myself. And I'm not sure which one I enjoy more because it's actually two very different things, completely different. So yeah, unique experience. But WrestleMania, where were we? Philadelphia. Oof.
Yes. You ready for this?
Yep.
April 6th and April 7th, 2024. We're at the Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, which I should add isn't just a field because that wouldn't really convey the gravitas of WrestleMania if they were just in a field. It's a lovely big open air stadium.
I've done some shows in fields before.
Yes, I think we all have. And I'm not even talking about wrestling. Night 1, the attendance, 72,543. Now,
which was announced by my boy, Nick Aldis, by the way.
Yes, it was, who was looking very, very dapper, as he always does, and I appreciate that. Friend of the show as well.
Absolutely.
72,543. Night 2, 72,755. What made me laugh was on night 2, they show the combined seat attendance of 145,298. And I actually watched both nights with a friend who shout out to my friend Marie, who's not interested in wrestling at all, but just watched it with me. So I had someone to watch it with. And she thought, like, oh, that's not very much. She thought that 145,298 was like their net revenue.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's like, no.
Why would they be advertising that? Jeez. Yeah, they charge $1 a ticket. One of my friends works at WWE in the office, and he told me that over this week, so with like NXT, SmackDown, both nights of WrestleMania, and I assume Raw as well. Yeah, they essentially sold over 200,000 tickets for like a weekend of wrestling shows. Not bad, huh? It's funny because they keep saying like wrestling is the hottest now it's ever been. Right. I'm still not sure I completely believe that. I just think WWE is better. Like they know how to do. They've gotten better at business. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's evident from this show the amount of sponsorships and advertisements and everything else. What do you think of the Prime bottle over the ring?
I like it. It doesn't bother me at all.
No. There's
always been that, like, for example, I think it was Halloween Havoc. WCW always had like the ads in. No, that wasn't for Slim Jim. It would have been for maybe.
Well,
it
they did
actually
have adverts on the ring. Yeah.
So it's always been a thing on like the apron, ads on the apron, and that's kind of like a sporting convention as well. You know, MMA does it as well. I thought it was pretty cool. It wasn't too distracting, and we have in our off the podcast talked about the kind of branding and packaging of Prime. It is kind of like slick and subtle. It's not. It doesn't distract, right?
No, I don't think so. No.
What do you think?
I think. I just think it's insane that Logan Paul is just turned 29 years old. He's great looking. He's in great shape, great athlete, just a crazy good entrepreneur. And it's like, how can anyone hate on this guy? Do you know what I mean? Like and then just the idea of being like a 28-year-old and having your product that you've invented,
right.
What do you call it?
Front and center
all over this wrestling show is just pretty wild. But I like it.
Go on.
I was going to say, just as WWE as a whole, like obviously they're pushing this Triple H era, and it was very evident across the weekend that they were putting over that Vince has gone. Do you know what I mean? It was very evident that it's like, this is Triple H running the show now. There was a lot of Triple H kind of spread across these shows. In fact, they started the first night with Triple H, right? Comes out and kind of does a rally type speech, I guess. Would you call it that?
Something similar. Yeah. And then obviously Stephanie on night 2 comes out to choose night 2 and basically reiterates the same concept.
How do you feel about Triple H being the first person out on the show?
I didn't have a problem with it. No. I understand. It's kind of cool.
They're kind of signaling like a new era is what they were trying to.
I think I didn't have a problem with it at all. I think it works. I just want to go back to Prime real quick and just say if you think about how much like ad minutes would be, right?
Yes.
And having that Prime thing front and center for 8 hours?
Yeah.
Is crazy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not sure what sort of deal they have, but it must be pretty insane.
Yeah.
Let's just get into it. Like the first match on the first night, Women's World title. I assume the Raw Women's World title. Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch won the Rumble.
Yep.
I'm still not I get why they do it, but I'm still not a massive fan of starting the shows with main event. What about you?
Okay, that's really funny because when this was the opening match, I know it was a main event, but I thought that you would be happy that they didn't open a WrestleMania with some convoluted ladder match. You're complaining.
Honestly, I feel like the ladder match maybe would have been a better way to start, get it over and done with. I don't know. No, Becky.
I like this.
Yeah. I don't know. You put them in an awkward position as well, because I'm a big believer in the shows being able to start with a lock up and being able to give us a nice wrestling match. But I'm not saying they didn't, but like they have to do a main event match, even though they're on first, you know? So it kind of, when you've got 4 hours of wrestling and you're starting the show with a main event, it's going to really help contribute to fatigue in the audience. That being said, I actually think they did a really good job both nights, considering the shows were 4 hours. They did not seem to drag. And we've watched pay-per-views on here before that have been 2.5 hours long and have dragged like crazy, right?
And felt longer,
yeah. But I'm a big fan of Rhea. I think everyone is. Becky obviously has been super duper over with the audience. It felt like this was a little bit of an awkward situation for her because it seemed like Rhea was more or is more over at the moment than Becky. Also, like, yeah, there's a big size difference between Becky and Rhea as well. I thought that was quite obvious. But I thought this was fine. I think it was the right decision keeping the belt on Rhea. The reason I'm just saying fine, I think my expectations are higher because the Charlotte and Rhea match from last year was
you really enjoyed,
fantastic.
didn't you?
Yeah. In fact, I should go back and watch that.
You talk about it a lot, yeah. So
I just thought it was incredible. And I just loved it because it just, to me, it's like, the woman really stepping it up, where it's a case of they had the best match by far of the weekend. It wasn't like, oh, we're just giving the women this because we have to. It's like, they deserve it now. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. But this match, I felt like, I don't know. It was all right. What do you think?
First thing, I like them opening with a main event. If there's going to be two main events, I would rather them open and close with one than kind of like end it with two main events in a row or something like that.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. I don't know. I enjoyed this, and they obviously did it again with night 2 with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, which we'll get to. So I'm happy with that because, as you know, I like to start and end with a banger. So I had no complaints there that this was like a championship match being the opening match of the night. The match itself, yeah, it was pretty good. I'm just going to call it or rate it fine as well. And you could probably imagine why, because you know what I'm like. But it was 17 minutes long. You know, it was a little bit long.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You say that, but it kind of goes back to my point. It's a world title match, so they can't really go less than that.
No,
so it's awkward to put it on first. Do you know what I mean? Obviously a big part of WrestleMania is the attires and outfits.
Okay.
Becky Lynch's outfit here, I didn't really understand it. It looked like a Santa Claus outfit.
It did. Isn't she supposed to be wearing her autobiography? I think that was what they were supposed to.
She had like a script on her thing, yes.
Which
was really cool, actually.
Yeah, like the concept was cool, but it didn't. Yeah, it was hard to kind of translate, right? Like into like she's moving around. Often there's wide shots. It's like, what is that? I can see why you thought it might look like a Santa outfit. Yeah. But they try to kind of, if they didn't start the match by introducing Becky with the whole, what they did, like explaining her autobiography and everything, and having that lead in, then I wouldn't have been able to put 2 and 2 together. I'd just be like, sorry, why is there text on her back? But no, because they gave us that, I could figure it out. But to me, that was a little bit like overly detailed. We're going to get into costumes, I'm sure, throughout the night, best and worst and all that. But yeah, I didn't mind it. It was a nice idea, maybe not the best executed, but still, points for that. Sure.
I wanted to take a minute to talk about our newest sponsor, MadCatBeardCare.com. Myself, I have a beard. Sam, you have a beard. Beards are very popular now, but you've got to take care of your beard. You got to get yourself over to MadCatBeardCare.com. I'm looking at the oils and the balms on there. First of all, they're all designed by different pro wrestlers and marketed as different pro wrestlers. So there's a bunch of guys involved with this, like Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, Delirious, Jay Lethal, a whole collection of awesome wrestlers that have their own product on MadCatBeardCare.com. Not only that, but a portion of the profits go to cat rescues around the country. So I think that's already exciting. But the beard oils and the balms both are made from organic argan oil, jojoba, and vitamin E, which when combined helps to soften, strengthen, and vitalize and stimulate circulation in the face, nourishing and strengthening the hair follicles to assist growth. Now, this is what you need. If you've got a patchy beard, you need to get yourself to MadCatBeardCare.com. The balms also include the same oil and mixture as the oils, but he adds the shea butter, which helps alleviate itch and irritation to your face, while also helping control pesky stray hairs by allowing you to style them into place. He uses local organic beeswax that helps to get more of a hold to your style. So you got to look after your skin underneath your beard just like you do your scalp. Like, these aren't things that you can neglect. And that's why we've teamed up with madcatbeardcare.com. And right now, just for listening to the show, you can get yourself a whopping 15% off products at madcatbeardcare.com by using the code VILLAIN. That's 15% for the promo code VILLAIN. That's VILLAIN. Pick yourself up the Villain's Curse, my own beard oil, my own beard balm. That's exactly what I use every day on my face to make my famous beard look beautiful. You can do the same thing too. So last time I'm going to say it, get yourself over now to madcatbeardcare.com. Promo VILLAIN. Then they followed up with the multi-man ladder match, which they seem to have every WrestleMania.
Can't stop,
even though there's a Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But this multi-man ladder match.
Six-pack tag team, yeah.
Six-pack tag team. What stood out to me, dude, what did you think of DIY, Gargano and Ciampa coming out dressed up as DX?
So I didn't watch this with you. We were supposed to watch this together and, things fell through. But I was actually thinking, I don't know if he's going to love or hate this. And then I got a message from you and it didn't seem like you were too sure. I totally understand tributes and this sort of thing. Yeah. But there was definitely, and I wonder if it was because of the whole Triple H, let's give reverence to Triple H, this is his era sort of thing. But there were so many DX crotch chops throughout night 1 and night 2 as well. It just seemed like a theme, and I just didn't really understand. Now, obviously, DIY or Gargano and Ciampa, they're literally more obvious so much, but there's just so much of it, and I didn't really understand if I was missing some kind of reference other than, hey, let's just talk about DX a lot through this night. Strange. Well, it was kind of odd.
Here's my issue with Gargano and Ciampa being dressed up as DX. So I think both of them are very good wrestlers, and I've had really good matches with both of them. But I don't think they're established yet as DIY or as a tag team or on the main roster. So, and obviously this WrestleMania, there's lots of people, like you said, your friend, that don't typically watch wrestling, but they'll watch WrestleMania, much like you and I might watch the Super Bowl, but never watch football. So them coming out, it's like their first WrestleMania ever, and they're not getting themselves over. They're getting DX over. Do you know what I mean? And people watching for the first time kind of be like, who don't keep up to WWE all the time, going to be like, who are those guys? Why is there a DX tribute? They don't even know who DIY are yet. So I thought was to me, it seems like a missed opportunity. Do you mean if I'm coming out at WrestleMania, I ain't going to be anyone else but the mother effing villain. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. You want to push your own brand.
The villain is going to be
right?
on that big platform. So I thought that was almost like a missed opportunity for them. But
totally understood. Yeah, it makes sense.
And then in terms of the rest of it, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, same as well. I don't think they're established enough yet to the big audience. But the star of the match for me for this is without doubt R-Truth. And I was just watching this thinking, R-Truth is the best worker in the world. They got the best reaction and the biggest reaction, not taking any of these crazy bumps, because there was some pretty damn crazy bumps in this match. But the biggest reaction was for R-Truth. And I know it's silly and it's a little out there, but I popped big for him trying to work the hot tag, and it's just absolutely brilliant. And I didn't realize until it kind of happened in the match that the match was they were separating the wins for both tag team titles. I felt so Austin Theory won the tag belts for SmackDown.
Yeah.
And then Pete and Tyler powerbombed him for a ladder. I didn't like that. I just thought, let him have the heat. Do you know what I mean? It's he got the belts, boo, but instantly took it away from them. And it's Babyface is going to win the match anyway. So it would have been better to save that, come on, but just to get the belts and then be killed straight away seemed a little, I don't know, it seemed pointless to me. And it's why would Pete and Tyler waste their time trying to put him for a table when for a ladder? Yes. He's not in the match anyway. You could have done that to someone else and increased your chances of winning. So that I felt was a little odd. But yeah, the guys took some crazy bumps. JD McDonough, it used to be Jordan Devlin. Crazy bump, which it scares me because I know these people get so amped up for WrestleMania, thinking I'll do anything at WrestleMania. But it's guys, fortunately, it seemed like everyone was fine, but the risks that people take, I just hate that it's getting bigger and bigger, and just one day someone's going to get really, really hurt, and it breaks my heart because it's just we don't need to go in that direction.
Not worth it.
R-Truth is absolute proof right there. But yeah, I feel like the right teams won. I think R-Truth and Miz winning, big pop. I think, that was cool. Again, not really my style of match. Seems to me more, an attempt to get everyone on the pay-per-view. But the crowd seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was what it was. What say you?
Yeah. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, this was their first WrestleMania, is that correct? And
yes,
I felt bad for them. They played the wrong music,
Did they? How did they do that?
I don't know. It wasn't their entrance music.
Oh, wow.
So imagine
really?
this is your first, hey, mum, tune in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your son's going to be on WrestleMania. And then it's just like, you want everything to be perfect. And then they play the wrong music. Kind of felt bad for them.
Absolutely.
This is WrestleMania. No expense spared, apart from with the ladders, buckling under the weight of people.
Well,
do you remember
funny.
that?
Yeah, but that's happened a bunch of times. It's funny you say no expense spared, but that's not actually true. Since Endeavor took over, they've been sort of doing budget cuts. And if you notice this WrestleMania, there wasn't as many big entrances. There wasn't as much pyro, a whole bunch of stuff. Like they've cut a lot of stuff down. And obviously it's still WrestleMania, but it almost feels like they've gone less on this spectacle of it all, because Endeavor just, through and through, they're a business. Do you know what I mean? So they're probably we don't want to spend millions and millions of dollars on pyro for WrestleMania. But were you all about this match? Did you love it?
I liked it. I obviously liked it. You know what I'm like. I'm very simple when it comes to these kind of gimmick matches. Mm-hmm. So obviously I'm happy. Yeah, it wasn't bad. There was like a lot going on, because if you think this is the same, I just complained about the match before being only 2 people in 17 minutes. This was the same amount of time, and just think how much happened in this. It was quite condensely packed, and like you really had to. And I was watching it with someone else, so it's kind of hard to kind of keep. Like it was kind of almost overstimulating, but that's not really that's not a problem with the match. That's my fault, this situation I'm in. It was fun, and it was early on enough in like the 2-day event where I just felt like, yeah, this is cool, this is fine. Maybe if this was on night 2, towards the end, I'd be like, oh God, really? A 6-pack ladder match? I think they put it on the right area of the card. Yeah.
So next up was LWO, Rey Mysterio and Andrade. Yes. They wrestled Santos, Escobar, and our boy Dirty Dom. A few things. So legit, it was supposed to be Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, and I was pumped for that, because I've friends with Dragon Lee for years, and I was just really pumped for him to be doing a WrestleMania already. I thought that's so cool. And then it changed like the day or two before. They changed it to Andrade. So I don't know if that was the plan all along, or they just decided, we need to get Andrade on this pay-per-view. But Andrade's great, but I was kind of disappointed that there was no Dragon Lee. And this whole match, to be honest with you, the whole build for this felt kind of rushed, because obviously last year they did Rey and Dominic, and it felt like they just kind of did this in the last sort of few weeks, just to, again, essentially just to get these guys on. It's like, we'll revisit the Dom and Rey Mysterio feud. But yeah, to me, this was decent. I don't know if it really felt like a WrestleMania match. You got to feel for Carlito, huh? He's just kind of came back and just kind of stands around and hangs out with
the ringside.
Yeah, doesn't really do anything. But I love Dominic Mysterio. The dive that Mysterio and Rey Mysterio and Andrade did seemed so dangerous when Rey was on Andrade's shoulders and they both jumped off the top rope. I was like, what? That seemed so dangerous. But it's always cool to see Rey Mysterio. You got to assume that he's not going to have too many more WrestleMania matches. And to me, I feel like the perfect retirement would be Rey putting over Dominic at WrestleMania. So maybe next year, obviously don't really want to see Rey retire, but I know he has to at some point.
Right.
I think that would be a really, really cool moment. And, the chance for Dominic and Rey to keep working each other at WrestleMania. So I think that'd be nice as well. But no, it was, I kind of zoned out a little bit during this match, even though I kind of like all the talent involved.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It was good. I enjoyed it, but it was what it was. Second tag match, like second multi-competitor match. And there's still a lot of people by ringside as well. It kind of had some similar kind of context to like the match before. But apart from that, it was pretty good.
I also find it weird. It felt like the baby faces outnumbered the heels. And that always, I think, is a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know what's really funny? So this tag match we're talking about was 11 minutes and 5 seconds. And then this next match, the Usos, was 11 minutes and 5 seconds as well.
There we go.
Kind of interesting. But Jay versus Jimmy, to me, this match, there's a match on the second night which they added loads of smoke and mirrors to. But this match, I felt like it could have done with Rikishi as the special guest referee. And I think that would have added a lot of drama to it and told a good story. Because I feel like, do you remember years ago, Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy wrestled at WrestleMania and it wasn't very good. And they, for some reason, they didn't really have good matches against each other. I kind of felt a little bit like that with this. Like I wasn't really blown away. There was one point where they were trading super kicks and I was just a bit like, they kind of lost me. I think both of the guys are really good, but honestly, I think the money, I mean, it's not, you know, the brain surgeon to work this out. The money really, I think, is them two as a tag team. Obviously, they can't do that forever and ever and ever. So here they are wrestling each other. And they deserve to be on Mania because the Bloodline has been this whole thing that's kind of helped wrestling take off again. Yeah, I thought it was all right. I would have liked to have seen, like I said, maybe Rikishi as the special guest referee or at least out there. I've just heard that they've signed Jacob Fatu, which I believe is the Usos' cousin. Maybe having him being involved in this or doing a run-in or debuting just to spice it up a little bit because I didn't really, for me, there was I don't know. It certainly wasn't Brett and Owen. Do you know what I mean? It was more Jeff and Matt as opposed to Brett and Owen.
Do they do these brother versus brothers like every 10 years or something?
Yeah, maybe they do. Yeah. You were putting some faces there. I assume you enjoyed it.
No, I did, generally speaking. I was putting the faces at the whole super kick trade-off thing. I felt like that's when it just lost me. I do have a first criticism of the night costume-wise. I felt like their costumes, their outfits, looked very cheap. Like they both went to Joanne Fabrics 2 nights before. And I was kind of expecting more, especially from those guys. That was a little bit of
But they always kind of dress like that, I feel.
It was the quality though, like the fabric. I just thought this is WrestleMania. Oh, okay. I'm surprised because this is, you take a good eye on this sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, I think again it's because I was with so many people.
True, understood.
I did notice how everyone seemed to be wearing green for this WrestleMania because it was like the WrestleMania colors or the
WrestleMania colors. Yeah, and they was probably more likely. Yeah, just coincidence that it's the WrestleMania colors. Everyone wants to do a friggin' DX tribute, and also a lot of like WrestleMania like fonts with writing on the back of their butts with the green as well. I noticed that as well. So what was that pay-per-view or premium live event where everyone was blue and gold? I mean blue and black, right?
Oh yeah, I can't remember now, but yeah.
What's with these PLEs having color schemes?
Color feeds.
Yes.
But yeah, the 6-woman tag, Jade Cargill's kind of debut, I guess. Bianca Belair and Naomi against Damage Control. I'll be honest with you, I was looking forward to this match, mainly because you're kind of interested to see what Jade can bring to the table. Right. I thought the entrances for this, I think actually really picked up. The show, like I thought the Damage Control entrance was pretty cool.
Yes, it was. It was awesome.
Right, it was cool, right? And the baby faces here just look like absolute superstars, and their entrance. I think they were trying to be like gold X-Men, it seemed, because she was Storm and then Bianca had like the Cyclops glasses for her entrance.
Oh, I didn't put that on. So then why was Naomi the Hamburglar?
I'm not sure what Naomi was doing. Is there an X-Men that has like a cowboy hat or whatever it was? But dude, the 3 of them just look like absolute superstars. And I think WWE has done such a good job in the last 10 years with just making the women like massive superstars and being on par with the men. And WWE is living proof that it can be done. Do you know what I mean? Like Jade Cargill, I mean, she's barely even wrestled yet, but you could just tell she's just a massive, massive star. And Bianca Belair, again, you could just tell just like a massive, massive superstar. And my friend, my jiu-jitsu coach, he went to a WWE live event a while back, and he's not a massive wrestling fan, but he trains a lot of the wrestlers, so he went. Yeah. And I remember asking him about it, what he thought, and he was like, that Bianca Belair, like, wow, she just had such an aura to her, just such right, she does, So so for me, this was more kind of a spectacle and a chance to see the wrestlers. The match itself kind of was what it was. I don't want to sound like a dick for saying this, but I'm not sure if I don't think Jade. She certainly didn't over deliver in this match. Which
I'm
I was
glad you said
hoping.
it. Yeah,
you know what I mean. To me,
I keep expecting her to blow me away, and it just hasn't happened yet. Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet, and it makes sense, I guess, because it seemed like they signed her, then they haven't debuted her for ages, so they've been trying to get her ready for this whole time. I'm just thinking, like, if you're training this whole time at the PC, surely you got to be getting just better and better. But to me, and I don't think I'm not one of these people that think that Jade's terrible and can't wrestle. I don't agree with that at all. Like, she's capable for sure. But yeah, when she pretty much all she did in this match really was blow a comeback and hit a finish. And she didn't really seem much different from the last time we saw her wrestle. Right, yeah. It's been quite a long time. I kind of wanted her to come out and, like you said, blow everyone away and just be like, whoa. I don't think she did that. And it makes sense. Wrestling takes a long time. And this is the problem with building her up. It's such a massive deal. They've built her up to be this, big star. And you kind of need to deliver. Do you know what I mean? And she just needs to over-deliver. And unfortunately, not everyone can be Logan Paul and just get it from the get-go. That's not normal. But no, I thought good way to get the women on the cards, and it just was what it was. That's what it really seemed to be. Like, the entrances seemed more important than the match, just the opportunity to see these women at WrestleMania.
Yeah. In Jay's defense, her outfit, like the quality of that, and like she looked $1 million, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just feel like there's a dichotomy between how she looks and portrays, and like you want her to be as good as she looks and acts, and it's just not quite there because but that's a bummer.
With Jade, they're doing the whole thing like the storm is coming. Like, I think that's her catchphrase. And that's, I think it's at the start of her entrance music. To me, that's a little on the nose.
You reckon like IP ways?
Well, I just think like she looks like Storm. We get that. Do you know what I mean?
Like, yeah.
It's like, what's your gimmick? I'm going to be Storm from X-Men. It's like, okay, we can't be
it's
that.
Like, no, it's not Halloween.
Right, yeah. To me, that's a little on the nose. Yeah. But I'm excited I really hope that Jay can really put it together, because I think if she could end up being one of the biggest stars of all time. And certainly one of the biggest female stars of all time. Next up was probably my favorite match of the night, Sami Zayn and Gunther. Mm-hmm. I mentioned this on the show before, that I saw these guys wrestle each other in Germany about 12 years ago and have an absolutely incredible match. Since then, a lot of things have changed. Gunther, he is a lot smaller now than he was before, or even he seems smaller now than he has been the last 6 months or so. The only thing with Gunther losing all this weight, I think that's great and he looks awesome, but I almost feel like he's almost looking too normal now. Do you know what I mean?
Not as imposing physically.
Definitely not as imposing physically. But we knew this match was going to be great. Sami Zayn has been, he's just an amazing wrestler. The story here with Gunther being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion ever. I was expecting Gunther to retain. Feels like they took the belt off him. They're freeing him up now for, to be in the world title contention, which I think is really smart. But I think the real question here is, was Sami Zayn the right person to dethrone Gunther? I thought LA Knight would be a great person to dethrone Gunther, because it kind of feels like he needs to do something or achieve something, because the fans are so behind him. And he lost the world title match with Roman Reigns and didn't win the Rumble. It's kind of like he needs that kind of crowning moment, it seems. I thought Bron Breakker from NXT would be a great person and that would really get him super duper over. At the same time, I understand why they went with Sami, because realistically, Sami, I don't know if he gets enough credit for that whole bloodline storyline and just how that kind of really took off and has helped WWE business go so high. And at one point, Sami was just super duper over. He's still over. I don't think he's as hot as he once was, but it seems like they're rewarding him for all his hard work. And I think that's cool. But at the same time, I almost feel like they had such a long reign and such a dominant reign for Gunther. I feel like the title switch probably could have helped someone else more than it helps Sammy. What say you?
Right. Yeah, match was really good. I really liked it. If you recall
Incredible
from
match.
previous episode, I did believe that Sami Zayn was going to end Gunther's streak, but I also had the problem of, but is he like a credible enough person to do it? And I didn't have an answer for who could be. Now, when you say Bron Breakker, it's like, yeah, there you go, perfect, makes perfect sense. So from a kind of who deserves it or who should go for it sort of perspective, maybe Sami Zayn. No, but at least and this was my concern, and they alleviated my concern. In the story of the match itself that we had, I feel like they did kind of like, Sammy did, it was sort of credible. And
yeah, absolutely.
It was fun and emotional. It was really good. So, yeah, so I actually don't have any complaints about this really at all. I really enjoyed it. This was my match of the night for night one, for sure.
Me too. No, Sami Zayn, I think definitely is credible enough to beat Gunther. I guess my point was Gunther losing his first match could have helped someone else more. And I think
I understand.
If you brought Bron Breakker in and had him defeat Gunther, it would really, really help put him high up the card right away. Do you know what I mean? So
that like dog eat dog. The only person who can defeat Gunther is someone bigger than Gunther.
Right?
Like that sort of. That would have been great.
But yeah, and Sami Zayn busted out the Brain Buster, which he's never ever done in WWE before, and I don't think certainly wouldn't have been allowed to do it under the Vince McMahon regime. Quite a handful of people have stolen that move on the indies now, or I've seen it on AEW a few times. And so I'm sure Sami Zayn's like, I need to reclaim my move. So he did the Brain Buster right towards the finish. But yeah, really, really good match. Definitely the match of the night for night one, which then leads us into the 44 minutes, 35-second main event.
Oh, yeah.
The Bloodline, Roman Reigns and The Rock versus Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. Now, I feel like there's actually quite a lot to get into with this match. So from the get-go, it felt like the first half of the match was very house show-esque, and it seemed like maybe they had trouble trying to put this match together, or, people weren't really communicating because they just kind of, it seemed like they just killed time brawling around the building and everything else. What I thought was really strange with this main event, so the whole story for this main event is it determines the rules for the night two, right? If Bloodline win, then night two is Bloodline rules, which is no rules. If Cody and Steph win, then the Bloodline is banned from ringside. But, they're fighting the Bloodline, so tomorrow could be a no DQ match. But The Rock just decided to turn this into a no DQ match, essentially. He just kept cheating and doing it in front of the referee and just being like, I'll fire you if you do anything. Low blows in front of the referee. They double team. They're all four men in the ring the whole time. All four men on the outside of the ring for minutes and minutes. They didn't play by the rules at all. And that's the sort of thing WWE did in the Attitude Era, where since then they've been trying to re-educate the fans, and they have by bringing rules back. They're kind of trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube. And then The Rock's came here and it's kind of been like, yep, doesn't apply to me. I almost feel like the fans were a little bit confused by that, just kind of because now they've been conditioned that rules are kind of important. And here they just threw them right out the window, which I wasn't a massive fan of. I got the prediction right. The Rock did pin Cody. Obviously, we know that.
Yes, you did get it right. Yeah.
Yes. So it seems like The Rock was going to be sticking around somewhat. I think SummerSlam, Cody and Rock, either SummerSlam or Saudi Arabia. It'd be nice if they did it in SummerSlam, though, Cody and The Rock. And that would certainly be interesting. But yeah, this match, definitely a smoke and mirrors affair. Roman Reigns, I think evidently he thought, I can't go to WrestleMania and not look more impressive than The Rock, who's 50 or 51 years old. I'm the guy, I need to look amazing. And he must have got a bodybuilding coach and everything else, because he looked phenomenal. Did you notice that the best shape he's ever been in?
Yeah, he looks absolutely great. His hair grease, though, the level of hair grease he had, it was like, literally just dripping down his chest, but that actually just like made him look even more ripped because it was like glistening as well. It's pretty crazy sight.
Yeah, well, it's funny because they were outside. His hair started getting like fluffing up towards the end as well. What do you think of the match?
So I did like it. It was what, 44 minutes? You said. Yeah, I felt like around like the 25 or like half an hour mark or whatever it must have been, where it's like Seth and The Rock and like the whole sharpshooter stuff. I just felt like it dragged.
Yes,
and I just kind of was done by then. And that's like may not be a big deal in and of itself, but this was also the final match I've been watching for 4.5 hours now, and then there's like a really like drawn out segment of an already long match, and I was just kind of done by that point. And I felt like the crowd almost kind of were as well.
Yeah,
and I felt like they brought it back, and like the accidental spear was lovely. I know we've seen it before many times, but you didn't expect it to happen to The Rock, and that was cool. And I like that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was just a little long, especially as like the little capstone on the end of night one. But yeah, it was definitely enjoyable because we haven't seen The Rock in however long. Roman looked amazing. Cody and Seth were as good as usual. It was pretty good. I feel like it was a decent like end to night one. I'm happy. I left feeling satisfied.
Well, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How did you feel on night 2 with Seth Rollins opening the show? With his, he had like 100 extras, it seemed, for his entrance. I didn't understand this entrance. What was it supposed to be?
So I was talking to this with my friend. She thought maybe like a carnival kind of thing. But I was like, I would have made sense if it was in New Orleans or something, like a Mardi Gras. Well, that's the thing. We've had Mardi Gras like relatively recently, but we're not in New Orleans. That was quite a long time ago now.
Yes.
There's nothing I feel like culture, like I don't know anything much about Seth Rollins. He's like from Iowa, right? So it's not like he has like a cultural tag to this kind of stuff. It just literally seemed like picking something out of a hat. You mentioned never kind of like skimping on the entrances, but they hire a lot of people. Like
this would have been expensive. Talent. This is probably exactly, like $100,000 entrance. Do you know what I mean? At least, which I feel like if you gave me a budget of $100,000, I could have come up with something a lot better than this. And that's just me purely speculating. But it was Seth Rollins versus Drew. I always call him Galloway. Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight title. CM Punk on commentary. As soon as this match started, I kind of knew that it wasn't really going to be for me because it just started with the Claymore kick. Yeah, despite I love Drew as a wrestler, I think he's great. But they kind of had this more rushed match, probably because Rollins, we know he's hurt and whatnot. They did the whole let's do loads of finishes and kick out. I don't think you can start a show with that. Do you know what I mean? Like later, AJ lost to one finish. It's like, well, he must be rubbish because Seth Rollins, it took 4 Claymore kicks to beat Seth Rollins. So wasn't really a big fan of that. I think with this Triple H era, they should condition the crowd to that the finisher is a finish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was really cool to see Drew win the world title. And then, of course, they did the bait and switch with Damian Priest cashing in the Money in the Bank. I think you can tell WWE's business is just so good when they can take a risk like putting the world title on Damian Priest. Long are the days, like back in the day, your business was determined by who was on top, champion. Who was your champion. Now, not at all. Like WWE as a product is the draw. I was not expecting, I know Priest has had the briefcase for a long time, was not expecting him to win the World Heavyweight title. I assume that Drew, because I heard that his contract's expiring and maybe he still hasn't signed a deal. I'm going to guess that he hasn't signed a new deal yet. That's probably why they didn't put the world title on him, because I feel like Drew kind of deserved this title run and Drew's been on fire recently. I think I would have preferred to see him walk out as champion. What say you, Sam?
I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree, but just quickly first, what did you think of the cash in itself? Because we're kind of tired of them, but this one I thought was well done.
Yeah, it was good. It was what it needed to be. I still think it's kind of like a little bit, I've kind of seen this before. We've even seen a cash in like this, similar, at WrestleMania. I just kind of, I don't know. I feel like it's a really cool concept that they came up with it. But they've keep doing it. They keep doing
it. Its course.
It's like, let's come up with some more cool concepts. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I thought Drew was great. I thought Punk was great on commentary.
Yeah.
I would have liked to seen Drew walk away. Damian Priest, I think he's very talented. He's got a good voice. His ring work is decent. I don't think people see him as a top guy yet, but I guess they're hoping to elevate him into that spot. It'll be interesting to see. And I'm just thinking, I don't even know who he's going to work with. Who do you think now Priest is champ? And I wonder if they turn the Judgment Day babyface. It's probably not because Dominic's in there. But I can't even really think if he's a heel champion, who he's going to work with.
Do you think it's possible to turn Gunther face?
Yeah.
And I think then that's where I think it should go.
Oh, but then does that seem like a main event program for WWE? Gunther and Priest, I feel like they're both not quite established yet as the top guys. Do you know what I mean? I feel like you need to have at least one established guy.
Okay, do it in steps. Yeah, and then maybe.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I'm struggling to think then, if you put it like that, yeah.
Because Gunther, if he works with him, he has to beat him as well. Do you know what I mean? So
true, yeah. So one of their up and coming talents going to lose out, and yeah.
I'd assume maybe Gunther will work with Cody, but then at the same time, like I said, when Gunther starts working for the world title, you're probably going to want to see him win. So it's interesting. It definitely has left a lot of questions, and I like the fact that they did something here, which is a real sort of talking point of the show. Something like a surprise happened. They got the crowd excited. I like that. I think that's cool.
Yep, it was pretty good. I'm not sure what they're doing is. I know he's injured, but I feel like Seth Rollins, we'll talk more at the end of the night. But he's had basically is what I'm going to say. Yeah, he's had a rough weekend. Are they accidentally burying him? What's going on?
I don't know. We'll get to that.
I think we should probably save that for the final match. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits wrestled the Final Testament.
Yes.
This seemed a little out of place, and I'm pretty sure this match was only booked because no one wanted to tell Bobby Lashley that he wasn't on WrestleMania for the second year in a row because he wasn't on last year either. So it kind of felt like they forced this match onto the card. Dude, I thought it was so random that Bubba Ray Dudley came out. I was like, what? To me, and I was trying to work out what they were doing. Obviously, it was in Philly. To me, it felt like they were it seemed like they were worried about this match and they were trying to throw as much smoke and mirrors to it as possible and it kind of worked because the most over moments of the match were Bubba Ray Dudley doing stuff.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And the problem with that is I kind of think you don't want to rely too much on getting pops from the past. Do you know what I mean? We've already had DIY dressed up as DX, now we're having people doing the suckets, and now here's Bubba Ray Dudley.
Get the tables,
and I'm just like, okay, that's cool, but we got to get some of the new talent over as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So this to me was random as hell. And dude, what an awkward finish with the table breaking. It's just
no expense spared apart from I guess the props. Yeah, ladders and tables. Super awkward. Bubba Ray's referee outfit, he just looks like he worked at Foot Locker. Now, what did you mean by, obviously it's Philly, because he's from, I didn't think, where's Bubba Ray from? He's from New York, right?
Yeah, but it's Philly's like ECW, isn't it? So.
Oh, okay, so that's it.
I'd like an ECW.
Okay, I was wondering, yeah. Okay, thanks.
An ECW feel.
Now I'm understanding. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this was probably my least favorite match of the night. For me, it was awkward. The table breaking it was just so upsetting to see. I know they just pulled out another table and they handled it well, but again, I was watching with a friend and just watching that table collapse. I was like, that just must have been such a bummer. Yeah, and then on top of that, it just wasn't a great match. Out of place, all of that sort of stuff.
Does Bubba Ray Dudley look just like Alex Jones?
I thought he looked like Samoa Joe.
Dude, I'm looking at Alex Jones now. It's like a spinning image of Bubba.
We're doing a lookalikes. Yeah, well, okay, we'll have that. Yeah.
Well, I think everyone on the internet said the same thing. We were watching it and we all said that and we were all laughing. And then I saw on the internet everyone was saying the same thing.
Oh, really? That's hilarious. Yeah.
But I guess nice for Bubba to get his WrestleMania moment.
That's completely
cool. Unexpected. I was like, wow, this kind of came out of nowhere. Next up was LA Knight defeating AJ Styles. This was a relatively short match. they had to have LA Knight on the card. It seems like LA Knight, they've called him off a little bit. Well, maybe they haven't called him off, but he's taken a little bit of a back seat since this whole Rock thing's been going on. Because before it felt like he was just super duper duper hot, like the most over guy on the show. Taking a little bit of a back seat. He's still getting really, really great responses and he seems to be really over. So he's someone now, like maybe they'll move LA Knight to Raw and maybe he'll program with Priest. I don't know. But again, if LA Knight fights for the title again, he's kind of got to win. So it's all a little bit awkward. But this match really, I think, was just to have both AJ and LA Knight on the show. Wasn't a bad match, was decent enough. Kind of just there, really, huh?
Yeah, really like both guys, right? I really do. They're both amazing. It was like middle of the card, right, for night 2. And it was just like, it was absolutely fine. Yeah, pretty good match. I did like that. So LA Knight's obviously doing the Slim Jim car thing. He's got the Slim Jim car. He comes like tearing in, right? And he does like almost like a handbrake turn. Really cool. And then he just takes like an inordinate amount of time to like get his seatbelt off and like get out of the car. There was like a 10-second pause. Jeez. And then like when he does get out, then he's just like instantly straight back to the character again. It was just a funny little thing that I noticed. But yeah, I really like both guys. This is what, like 10 more minutes or like 12 minutes? Yeah, okay. So it didn't outstay its welcome either. It's just two good talents, middle of the card, nothing more you could say. Yeah. I
would have liked to have seen this match open the show. I think starting the show
night one.
Night 1 or night 2. I think opening the show with LA Knight's music would have been a really cool way to start the show. And they're going to have a good match. Speaking of the entrances, what about Randy Orton standing on the back of the golf cart and Kevin Owens just absolutely zooming down that ramp? I was worried Orton was going to come off. It was like, geez, that was, and he looked scared as well at one point. It was like, what?
Yeah, he does. It was, he went way too fast. That was hilarious.
Well, of course, I'm talking about the freeway, Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton. Now, I both predicted this match and predicted the outcome to the T. Logan Paul.
Yes, you did.
Kevin Owens. Honestly, this match I thought was really, really good. And you knew it was going to be because of the talent involved. But typically freeways, they can be kind of hit or miss. I thought this was really, really enjoyable. And again, I feel like I say this every week. It's just crazy how good Logan Paul is at this stage. It's just unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the fact that he can beat former world champions like Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, and it comes across completely credible. Do you know what I mean? That just shows how good Logan Paul is.
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed this match. My biggest complaint of the match is they missed a trick by not having Randy RKO ISO speed through the table while he's still in the bottle.
100%. I don't know why they didn't do that.
Well, why did they take the bottle off?
I thought the whole point of having the guy there in the bottle was to do the RKO and go viral and everything else. Where it's like,
right, where he's in the bottle,
he's RKO'd a prime bottle like that. Yeah, I don't understand how they missed that. Do you know what I mean? That would have been amazing advertisement for Prime because it would have gone viral and everything. Just that's really kind of. It
was
bizarre.
strange, and they were setting up like that was going to happen. It's like, okay, so he's going through the table, he gets kicked down. It's like gives me Chester what's his name?
Chester McCheeserson or something.
Like vibes, the way he just like hits the ground. I was like, this is perfect. Here we go. And then he just takes the bottle off of him. And I was like, what? I was shocked. I was like, no, they've really pooed the bed on that one. I agree. I was very disappointed.
Did you know who that guy was? Speed, his name was.
I show Speed. Yeah, he's a live streamer.
Okay, I had no idea.
He's a live streamer. Yeah.
So that was actually one of my favorite matches this night, but I actually think this next match may have been my favorite of night 2. Bayley defeated my pal Io Sky for the WWE Women's Championship. I thought this was really cool, again, to let the women shine. Good story with the whole damage control and Bayley being kicked out, winning the Rumble. I thought both ladies shined here, and I think probably bell to bell, probably the best match on the card. Like, if you're just talking sort of actual in-ring, between the ropes wrestling, I'd say this was my match of the night.
I didn't expect that. That's pretty good. I know. That's really interesting. I liked it, but maybe I was just tuned out by that point because it didn't like really make me. Right, yeah. Is this, what do you call this? Like, this is the one where that everyone goes up and goes for a week.
They call it, there's a bunch of different names. The popcorn match.
That's it, yeah.
Piss break match, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess they're in a rough spot, but maybe I was as well. I definitely went for a weeb during this match. So, yeah. So
maybe you weren't proper into it then, like.
Yeah, no, maybe I wasn't.
No, it was good. It was good. Io's great. Like
she is, isn't
so
she?
Good. Yeah. And Bailey's good as well. Bailey's
really
good. I don't like. Okay, one criticism. I'm not a fan of Bailey's finish. I feel like she gave her the elbow drop, and the elbow drop looked good. I was like, why don't you just pin her from that? But she gave her that weird kind of like flatliner type bulldog finish. Yeah. It doesn't seem to have any impact. I just think no, that's not. It's definitely not your best move. I don't understand why she did that as a finish, but it's what it is. But no, I was a big fan of that match. Go on, sorry.
Io's your pal, right? Can you tell him to stop screaming? Like every 5 seconds.
That's what they do. That is. I'm not going to tell her anything to do.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So maybe. So we've done good and bad costumes. So worst makeup of the night, I would say Bailey. Best makeup of the night, Drew McIntyre. His makeup was looking wonderful, wasn't it? Very cleanly done.
I don't know if I really noticed. I thought Bailey's makeup was fine for
I didn't like the eye makeup, no.
I thought Becky Lynch's eye makeup was too much.
Oh, that definitely was, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, from night 1 and night 2, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Drew definitely took that one home. So for the boys.
He did. Yep. So a lot again to unpack with this main event. Cody, our pal Cody, finally wins the big one, defeating Roman Reigns in this Bloodline Rules match. Now, I just said about how much I loved Bailey and Io Sky just from like bell to bell, just great wrestling match. You knew this match wasn't going to be that. So this is what I think happened. I think that they obviously wanted to do all these run-ins, all this smoke and mirrors, like big time smoke and mirrors. And Cody loves those sort of style of matches, you know, loads of run-ins and tables and blood and just like everything, you know. I'm pretty positive that they wanted to have Stone Cold Steve Austin come out and stun The Rock, which I would have 100% been all into, right? And the idea of John Cena, Rock, and Austin, it's almost like the tippy top guys ever, kind of passing the torch to Roman and Cody and being like, Cody, you're the next guy. That's what I was hoping to see here and what I thought was going to happen. And I think clearly they just could not get Steve Austin to do this spot for whatever reason. Austin didn't want to do it. So they just thought, we'll use The Undertaker instead.
I know, yeah.
Dude, this to me was so much doing moments for the sake of moments. It didn't make any sense. Why was The Undertaker there? What does he have to do with the story whatsoever?
Yeah, it was atrocious. And I said I was watching with a friend who doesn't watch wrestling. Well, she used to watch it as a kid with her dad because her dad used to watch it. So she knows who The Undertaker is. So imagine the last time you've seen The Undertaker is like in his prime, right? Like in the 90s. And then he comes out just, like in his granddad mode. And it was just like very strange, very out of the blue, like you said. And you know your phrase, hat on the hat. I just knew that you were thinking that, or I could just imagine you writing that down in your phone, making notes when you were just, none of it made any sense. It was just like for this, like these things happening for the sake of them happening. Yes. And I like, that's probably one thing I kind of hate the most in anything, like not even wrestling, but like movies or games, just like for the sake of it. It's kind of fan servicey, but no fan wants this either, right? Well, you just bring all people out and it's random.
But like The Undertaker, the crowd obviously all popped for, but they jumped like the John Cena run in. Like I was like, I can deal with that because he did do a thing a while back, I think, where he got beaten up by Solo. So it's like, okay,
really? I didn't know that.
Cena, okay. I think so. I think I'm right with that. So him, I was kind of like, okay, I'll give them that. And I would have been all up for the hat on the hat if it ended with Austin stunning The Rock. Like that would have been great. But when The Undertaker came out, and dude, I don't know what the hell happened with this Seth Rollins Shield entrance. Just didn't make any sense whatsoever. Clearly just trying to get a pop for the sake of a pop. Like, oh, he's back as the Shield. The production just messed up completely. Did not catch him.
You don't even see it.
You don't even see him. The first time you see him, he's literally stepped to the ring and he gets Superman punched by Roman Reigns. So it's like, he dressed up as the Shield and did the whole entrance and everything for like no reason whatsoever. And it's like the Shield, they tried to protect as one of the greatest factions in WWE history. If he was going to go for all that effort to like bring the Shield back, that would have had to lead to the finish, like Cody winning. Do you know what I mean? It made no sense whatsoever. Clearly, they're just like, oh, let's do WrestleMania moments, even though they don't make sense. And if I asked a fan, you know, why did Undertaker come out? They'd be like, oh, you know, to get the big pop. I'm like, no, like,
but like in universe, right. In story,
right?
Why?
Same
with the Shield, yeah,
right.
No, 100%, yeah, and that's my biggest issue with it,
dude. And it felt very much like I can kind of compare this to the Triple H and Sting match when they had the DX run-ins and the NWO running in to help Sting, which again made no sense because in WCW they were against each other, and that seemed like having run-ins for the sake of run-ins and moments for the sake of moments. This, I thought, was more egregious than that. And I get it. They had to make this different from last year because they did Roman and Cody, but I don't know. I feel like maybe just having The Rock involved and having Cody come up on Rock and then beating Roman would have probably been enough, I think.
Yeah, I do as well. It was far too much. Now, obviously, I would have loved Goldust to have come out. His brother.
He may as well have
that's
done.
Not good. Yeah, he may as well. Yeah, that would have made more sense. Yeah.
Way more. But honestly, I didn't even put two and two together when you said Goldust. Then I just realized, like, it's Cody's brother. I forget.
That would make more sense.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I guess Dustin. I'm not sure if he wanted to, but he wasn't allowed to sit in the front row. He sat up in. He was there, but was in like a suite or something.
He's still in AEW, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, as a wrestling match, obviously Roman and Cody are both great wrestlers, but I don't know. This is going to be a really odd comparison. But do you remember years ago when they had the 6-pack Hell in a Cell match, and it's when Rikishi got thrown off the cell? Was it Armageddon? Yeah, that makes sense. And the mentality going into that was, because it was coming off the Shawn Michaels and Undertaker Hell in a Cell and the Mankind and Undertaker, obviously famous Hell in a Cell. And the mindset going into Armageddon was, you know, okay, so who's coming off the top of the cell? Like, we've built it up now where someone's got to be thrown off. And they had Rikishi thrown off just for the sake of having him being thrown off. It wasn't a way to take Rikishi out for a year or anything else. They just did it because they wanted that bump. And that's what it kind of felt like with these run-ins. That's
way more acceptable though, because the in-universe explanation is the Undertaker likes throwing people off of cells. You know, that's his thing, right? Making them famous.
Yeah.
There's like a in-universe explanation for it, even though like to justify the fact that we're just looking for the next bump. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is my fear with Triple H booking so far. I think he's done really, really great, but I fear he's almost giving the fans what they want too much. There's definitely something to dictating, you know, you tell the fans what they want. And I mean, obviously there's going to be times, definitely give the fans what they want, but I don't think you need to do it on like every single occasion. And I don't know, I just really did not enjoy these run-ins. And again, maybe I'm just, you know, a hypocrite, because if it was Steve Austin, I would have been all for it. But I don't know. I mean, I think we can probably all agree that it was the right decision to have Cody win the world title. I mean, if he didn't, he would have been dead in the water. Now is going to be the real test and the challenge, because the whole story has been built on the chase, right? And now Cody has finally won the world title. I do wonder how popular or how much of a babyface he's going to be still. Like how, because the fans have been so behind him to win and end Roman Reigns' long-ass reign. Yep. Now he's champion. Are they going to stay with him as much? Cody, to me, I always thought was an excellent heel. And I think if he eventually turns heel, I think he could do some of the best work ever. But also knowing Cody, I feel like he wants to be that John Cena, that Hogan, top guy babyface, which is funny because I just feel like he's such a great heel, you know? But yeah, again, Cody's won the world title now. I don't know who he's going to work with either.
Are you saying we should watch this space and we should cover many further current premium live events.
Spit it out, jeez.
I know, jeez. Well, I was going to say pay-per-view, and then I caught myself halfway through.
PLEs.
The same PLEs, yes.
No, I think to the audience, let us know. Like, obviously, we do the classic wrestling review every week, but if you want us to talk about contemporary wrestling, then we're all for it. So just let us know. You can email us. What's our email again?
Mail at thevillainpod.com. MAIL at thevillainpod.com.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Or you can go on our Instagram. But what did you think of this? Are you kind of in the same opinion as me?
For the match itself?
Yeah.
Oh, it killed it for me. It was enough to kill it for me. It was my least favorite match of the night. Because at least like the Bobby Lashley one, it's like there's no stakes involved in that just being a middling match in the middle of a card. It's just there for the sake of it. But this was just, what the hell? But you know how much I like the Shield as well, and I feel like they should be protected. And just to bury the Shield was just like unforgivable to me. But it killed it. I understand what you said about like it's the right to have Cody win, but I think it's the wrong way to go about it.
Yeah, I think it should have been more about Cody.
Yes, I felt like he should have done it like almost like off his own back, despite like the bloodline rules and like despite all this being able to overcome.
I agree. So you said your favorite match on night one was, you said that already, Sami Zayn and Gunther. I agree with that. Your favorite match on night two?
I would say it was the Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton triple threat. It was just so much fun. Yeah,
I'm going to say the Bayley and Io match. Yeah. And then your favorite match overall?
Overall, I'm going to give it to Sami Zayn and Gunther. What about you?
I think I would agree. Night one or night two, which night did you think was better?
Oh, that is tough. I think I'm going to go with night one.
Really? I
feel like night two had more, like the greater amount of mid matches, you know? I know like you really like the Bayley match and really like the Logan Paul match.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was like kind of average. The only real average match I'd say was the Rey Mysterio one. Like on night one was like the Rey Mysterio one, really?
I don't know. I think it was very, I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like I very kind of in the middle with this. Like, part of me thinks the whole thing was like just amazing and incredible, and then another part of me kind of thinks like, I wasn't really that into any of it. But I don't know. I'd love to hear what the fans for. I'm going to assume that the fans are all going to love this weekend because they gave the fans basically what they wanted, and it felt like this was like Cody Rhodes' birthday party. It seemed like where he just got everything he wanted at the end. You know what I mean? So I feel like the fans would have really enjoyed this. If you had to give a star rating for the whole weekend, isn't that funny now? You have to do it for a whole weekend.
Yeah.
What overall star rating would you give WrestleMania 40 XL?
How do I put this? I feel like the final match of night two was bad enough to drop it down. Like, I can't give it a 4 because
can I just say, by
alone.
the way, we're saying how bad this is. I think we're the only people that think this, and everyone else thought this was absolutely incredible and amazing.
Well, that's why people listen to our podcast and not like, because like that's insane. Like, because how is nobody else thinking like you're thinking? Like, but in the universe, like, what's their in character in universe motivations? And no one's like, don't worry about. Everyone's like, don't worry about that.
Someone's going to say,
it's Undertaker.
Someone's going to say, well, Roman Reigns defeated Undertaker at WrestleMania like 8 years ago or something.
Yeah. Okay. What's Seth Rollins' in-universe motivation to run out as the Shield?
Because Roman Reigns turned on him 10 years ago on the Shield.
Right. Yeah. Like,
right. Yeah.
He's a family man now. Like, things have changed 10 years ago. It's like, why are you doing this? I got excited because, I mean, when you see the thing is, like, the Shield also isn't the Shield if it's just Seth Rollins. That's just Seth Rollins in body armor. Now, if that Dean Ambrose, we'll be talking about something else.
I think also a big part of the audience thought they were going to see Ambrose as well.
That would have been, I would have liked that.
Yeah, that would have made a lot more sense. But I think the audience thought that, like, surely they're only doing this because they've got Moxley or Dean Ambrose back. And bearing in mind, there's probably a big part of the audience that doesn't even realize that Moxley works for AEW or anything, right? So probably like, oh, the Shield's back. And it's like, oh no, it's just Seth Rollins, who we saw earlier tonight and yesterday. You know what I mean? So it was... but sorry, star rating for the weekend.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to knock it down to 3.5, which is still really good. Yeah.
That's still really good. So you seem to really You seem to really enjoy it. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as you. So I'm going to give it 3 stars. I think a little bit better,
which is still
average.
good. Yeah, no, it's better than average and still good.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen. There wasn't one particular entrance or like ring gear that really stood out to me. I really loved it. Was it last year? Dominic came out in the handcuffs and everything else, and the police car. That was really cool. And obviously, for years and years, I've seen Triple H do really awesome entrances. None of the entrances here blew me away whatsoever. I didn't think. And maybe I'm just, spoiled as a wrestling fan. That's what I thought. I think if they had the villains entrance at WrestleMania, it could be one of the greatest entrances of all time and just blow the roof off. But nothing can compare, I don't think, on this show.
Yeah. So with just like the end of the main event on night 2, the Seth Rollins like pantomime parade thing entrance, like just like there was no like context or made no sense.
No.
I think the best entrance for me would have been just like the simplicity of like Jade Bianca and Naomi's.
Yeah,
it's just like the best entrance. It's like there was no gimmick; they just looked really good. Really confident and really good. And
they lit it really well and stuff. I mean, we also didn't mention the band played Rhea Ripley up to the ring.
Oh God, they were that's not my cup of tea at all.
Not your cup of tea.
No, and I love Lil Wayne as well, right? I love Lil Wayne, but Jesus, that I was dying when he came on. That was awful. I don't know what's going on.
There was no ring gear that stood out to me, which normally there's loads. Was there anyone's gear that you were like cool WrestleMania gear that you thought that's awesome? Because
I did already bring up Jade's as being pretty good, but it wasn't like mind-boggling. Can't take your eyes off it. It was just like very high quality.
That seemed just like what she normally
assignment, but it's kind of too similar to what she normally wears. Yeah,
right.
So for like a specific, like WrestleMania specific, let's kind of peacock. No, there really wasn't, was there?
Not that I can think of. No, all the people on the internet. You remember when The Rock debuted in '96 and he had like the horrible hair and the tassels and all that kind of stuff on. Like people were kind of predicting that Seth Rollins would wear that gear like night 1. Do you know what I mean? To wrestle The Rock, whatever. Which I think would have been actually really cool. I actually really like that.
Funny,
idea. Yeah. But yeah, nothing completely blew me away in that. Nope. But overall, WrestleMania, it's always a fun weekend. Yeah. They did a lot of different surprises and stuff last night, which makes me think like, I don't know what they're going to do on this Raw on tonight. Typically they've done loads of surprises and stuff on the Raw after WrestleMania and debuts and everything else. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep riding that momentum tonight. And obviously the start of the Cody era as the world champion and the Damian Priest era as well.
And Damian Priest, yeah.
I doubt many people thought Damian Priest would win a world title before Cody. But
there you go. Yeah.
There we go. Well, listen, guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, I already plugged it earlier, but please give us a follow at The Villain Pod. And I think that's pretty much all from me.
That is all we have time for and all we have to say. Pretty good pay-per-view. 3.5. Happy days. It was a good weekend. Very enjoyable. But until then, have a good week. Till next week.